Where did Marvel's Avengers go wrong? Some people would argue that was it ever right? And to be honest, I'm not going to be, or I'm going to try not to be too negative, overly negative about this game, because this game had potential. This game could have been one of the best superhero video games ever, if not the best game ever, because it has probably one of the biggest franchise properties of all time with Marvel, especially because the MCU is killing it when it comes to box office, when it comes to notoriety and brand recognition. How can you fail? As soon as you put Marvel on your title for whatever it is, people pay attention. They pay a lot more attention than if you were something else. I think the real first problem that this game ran into was how bad that first trailer was. I remember that big exclusive world premiere trailer, and the reaction was so lukewarm. It was either lukewarm or it was people just straight shitting on this trailer. And even I, who tried to give it a chance, who tried to look at the positives that were in that trailer, recognized that a lot of the character models look bad. Black Widow, for some reason, for whatever reason, she looked kind of like a man. It wasn't designed well. There was maybe it was too early on in the process. Clearly, there wasn't enough rendering going on. A lot of people looked at the designs of whether it was the Captain America costume or the Iron Man suit and just thought that it looked really lame looking or cheap looking. And that hurt. That hurt because that's your first impression. That's the very first thing that people will get their eyes on and decide whether or not they're willing to spend money on this. And there's a lot of people who saw that trailer and said, nope. They didn't bother to give it a try. They didn't bother to give it a second chance. They didn't stick around for a second trailer or a gameplay trailer. They were done from day one. And those people were probably your biggest detractors and people that were not ever going to come back. And so that sucks. Now, when the game first comes out, sure, there were more issues, right? There was day one bugs, there was glitches, and I know that that comes with the territory. Almost every game I've ever bought, almost, there are problems, there are bugs. They have to put out patches and they have to fix things. That's become more normal nowadays than not. But this one, it felt really rough. It felt hard to get into, and the online servers were shit. How many times did the trying to connect to online players, trying to connect to servers, it would crash, constantly crash. The game would shut down. I remember this was driving me crazy the first couple of months trying, and this is me trying to give the game a chance. I've already paid you my $60. $60 is not cheap, especially now that games are going up to 70 goddamn bucks. So obviously from all of these issues, I kind of stopped playing the game. I gave it a couple months and I just couldn't get into it. So I stopped playing for almost a year. I checked out for a long time. I wasn't really thinking about it. I started playing other games. There wasn't a lot of other people talking about the Marvel's Avengers game anymore, which was crazy because it wasn't even a year old. Something that the developers initially said would have a 3 to 5 year shelf life as far as additional content coming out. Even with the DLC packs for Kate Bishop and Hawkeye, I didn't come back because I just didn't care. I was done until the Wakanda expansion pack. That made me go, okay, I'll come back for this. So I did come back for the Black Panther story. It even made me replay the main story, and then I eventually went back to play the Kate Bishop and Hawkeye stuff, and I got back into it. I learned to appreciate the story for what it was, MODOK as a main villain, because even when we get him in the MCU, it won't be the big level Avengers level villain that he has been portrayed in the comics before. This game presented him as such, It had a cool backstory for Kamala Khan, the Miss Marvel character, who at the time was new for a lot of people before the TV show. By the time I came back to this game, there was a lot more MCU skins. Now, I think this is the biggest problem with the game, though. Because, yes, the MCU skins were cool. And in fact, me buying the MCU skins, it made them look more like the MCU versions of the characters. So that's what made me want to play the game more and more, because I said, oh, wow, they have the Black Panther outfit from the movie. They have the Thor outfits. The Iron Man MCU skins look so much better, like the helmet, the designs of the suits. The MCU versions look so much better than the ones that were in the initial game. And so I was kind of hooked again. I was hooked on getting all of the MCU skins, making them look like that. But the problem was that this game charged you an arm and a leg. It wanted to drain you, almost pick you up, hold you upside down, and shake as much money out of your pockets as they could. I could not believe how much they were charging for these skins. We're talking, let's look at the ratio. The way that you paid for these skins, you had to buy credits. And for one skin, it would cost 1,400 credits. The only options that they gave you for buying credits were $20. Like, you would have to buy $20 just to buy one skin. That's unacceptable. So basically, I already have the character. The character itself is playable. I have to pay $20 or so in order to get a skin to be able to just change the outfit. Who would do that? Obviously, I did that a couple times, and there are clearly other people who probably bought the biggest form of credits that you could, which I believe were $100. Can you imagine? Holy shit. $100 so that you could get, what, 10,000 credits? Even that wouldn't be enough to buy all of the skins that are in this game. And so what I think this game should have done, instead of charging you an arm and a leg for these skins, instead of bleeding you dry to try to make a profit, you could have gone cheaper. And I think that's the easiest solution, is that you could have just charged less, not charge 1,400 credits. I know they had once in a while, and this is what I noticed, and this is what I took advantage of, is I just waited until the MCU skins were on sale, half off, for 700 credits. But even still, that's still a decent chunk of change that you're having to put out. On Midnight Suns, the Marvel Midnight Suns game, you, for a skin, you pretty much have to equate to pay about $3 for a skin. Would I charge that? Probably not, but still, it's way cheaper. Clearly, that company learned that charging as much as the Marvel Avengers game was, Crystal Dynamics were, no, that's way too high. $3, at least a little more reasonable. But what I would have done instead, me personally, is I would not have charged money for the skins. I wouldn't. Maybe the MCU skins you could charge like $3, $5 at the most, but even that I don't know if I would do, because clearly the MCU skins are going to be the most desired, the most wanted. And I'm sure it wasn't as easy to have to work with Marvel Studios to get approval for those skins versus just working with the comics or working with just the video game division of Marvel. So, okay, fine, cool. But wouldn't it have made more sense if you had to play the game, if you had to actually do missions, if you had to play daily in order to unlock skins, in order to work towards, put in the hours towards getting MCU skins? How many people would be playing this game all damn day because they want to unlock that one Spider-Man Far From Home skin? I know I would do that. I pretty much already did that just to get other bonuses and other rewards. Never mind if I was able to get skins that way, not having to pay so much money, but just actually playing it. But if you're asking, well, what about them making their money? Clearly they wanted to make extra money, or they wanted to guarantee a profit for having to put so much work into putting future stuff into this game. And that's the point, though. You don't charge for the skins because the skins are going to get people to want to play daily. What you charge people is the actual missions, is the actual DLCs For example, instead of putting out the Wakanda expansion pack, or instead of putting out a lot of those stories and dropping them for free, although they had to do that in order to try to get people to come back to the game because people like me were upset with it and they used that to get people back. And in some cases that worked. But what if you charged for those story modes? If you charged for those story DLCs, people would be a lot more willing and a lot more okay with paying money in order to play new missions, in order to play in new environments and new scenarios on the map. That makes more sense. And you don't go too crazy with the price, but let's say if you charge like 10 bucks and oh, you get a whole new area on the map. For 10 bucks, you get a whole bunch of missions that at the end of the day are pretty much all the same as every other mission that's in the game, but just changed environments, changed echoes of the villains. You can just repaint them to instead of be robots, they can be whoever else they're supposed to be. I don't know. I'm not trying to say that making a game is easy. I'm not trying to say that having to develop these things are easy. I fully recognize that a lot of work would have to go into this. But didn't they plan that? Didn't they plan for all of this from the start? It's just, I think, better planning, better strategy on what to charge for and what not to charge your fans for. It just it doesn't really work for me. Also, you could have charged to add more characters, more heroes, more playable heroes in your game. So for example, maybe these characters won't have a story pack that comes with them, right? Maybe they won't have an expansion story pack like the Hawkeyes and the Kate Bishops and the Black Panther did. Sure, but because these characters, their models were already in the game, these characters already exist in some form or another in your game, it wouldn't be too hard to just take that same data of their design and apply it to a playable version of them. For example, Ant Man, Hank Pym. Hank Pym is a character that you meet in the game, that you interact with, that you go to a secret hideout with, and he gives you missions to go out and do. Now, his character is Ant Man, so why couldn't they just take that same design of him from the story part of the game and apply that to a playable character? And imagine what cool moves the move set and the special abilities that an Ant-Man character could have. Other smaller characters, which I'm not going to pretend like they're going to be a huge draw, but giving people the option of whether or not they want to spend the money in order to play as these different characters. For example, Maria Hill, she's in the game, so just take that model and apply it. Pretty much make her move set an echo of Black Widow with some changes here and there, but she's pretty much an agent. She's a shooter. She's going to use guns and she's going to be agile and whatnot. Yelena Belova, Black Widow's sister, somebody who had been rumored to potentially come to the game at some point, especially because she would be easy to almost copy and paste from Black Widow and just redesign her to look like her. Nick Fury. They added Nick Fury to the game as far as a character that you can talk to in the Shield little outpost there, but imagine Nick Fury as a playable character. I think people would get kicks out of that. Also, other rumored characters like War Machine. War Machine would be another character that's pretty much Iron Man with maybe some added guns and missiles. Is it that hard? She Hulk. She was a character that I believe they hired an actress to do the voice of. And she should have actually come, but I don't know what happened. I don't know why they ended her. I would have bet money that she was going to arrive when the She-Hulk TV show came out, but no, that never happened. Shuri. Now again, Shuri, maybe not the most popular character, but yeah, her design is from the game already, and because in the movie Wakanda Forever, her character becomes Black Panther. So you could have had a female Black Panther in the game. That would be cool. Now, this is something that I saw a lot of people constantly asking for. Almost every post on the Twitter fan page, people would ask for brand new characters, popular characters who their abilities would have been way different, way intricate. I could understand if it would have been too much, but obviously not having characters like Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, that's an issue because people really wanted to be able to play as those characters. But even Captain Marvel is referenced in the game. There's posters of her in the game because obviously Kamala Khan is a big fan of hers. I don't know how Captain Marvel was not fast tracked to come out sooner. It blows my mind. She makes the most sense in order to show up here and meet Kamala Khan, meet Miss Marvel, and have her own expansion. That sucks that we never got around to playing as her. Another big issue is the repetitive missions, the repetitive villains and people that we had to face over and over again. How many times can we destroy these robots? How many times can we go after these AIM bots? I am so sick of the AIM organization that it's annoying. It's annoying how often they would put out these constant like monthly live events and be like, "Hey, isn't this fun? You get to do this now." And it's like, "Well, no, I already did that like 2 months ago. What do you mean? You're just giving me this again?" Why didn't we get different boss villains? For example, I feel like there's 3 or 4 different sectors on the map that have a similar design of having to go after these robots and fight these robots. And then by the end of the mission, you end up fighting a boss. And there's like 3 different missions that all have Abomination. Like when you get to the end, you end up fighting an Abomination clone. And why? Why do we have the same one? It's because they're being lazy, of course, right? It's just, oh, we just have the Abomination, so let's just have him in 3 different parts of the same thing. Taskmaster, the same exact deal. There's 3 different missions where by the end of it, you fight a clone of Taskmaster. And how do they not think that we're going to get bored and sick of it? It's okay to have one mission that has them at the end, and that therefore makes that one mission feel unique and feel special because you think, oh, that's the one mission where you fight Abomination, not just 1 of 4 where we have to fight Abomination. So instead of the cloning, instead of having the same villains, the same bosses at the end of those, a lot of these characters were already in the game. They were in the story part of the game. So their models are there. You just have to copy and paste them in place of these other clones. For example, Crossbones. Crossbones is in the Wakanda expansion missions, and you fight him in that. So why can't we have a mission on the main game? Ulysses Claw. That's another villain that's in the Wakanda story. And sure, there's the one online multiplayer mission where you fight a version of Claw that becomes a part of the vibranium and he's big, huge. But I'm talking about the real Claw and just have him be maybe a little powered up, not just the giant version of him. And then you get into maybe having villains, boss villains that are more connected to each hero that is on the group. For example, having Red Hulk. All you need to do is take the Hulk's model and color him red. And then just get a different voice actor to voice him as General Ross, but he became Thunderbolt Ross, he became Red Hulk, and the team has to go after Red Hulk. I mean, they already have a mission where you face a future version of the Hulk that ends up turning evil, and so you have to fight him. Imagine if instead of having 3 of those same missions where you fight that future Hulk, how about one of them be a Red Hulk? That would be cool. And since this is the AIM robot, since a lot of these missions are you fighting robots, why not have one of these boss battles be Ultron? It's not a huge stretch to say that Ultron is somehow connected to these robots, somehow connected to AIM, or somehow connected in his own side plot to where you have to go after him as well. And whenever they would do those live events every couple months, and they would try to switch them up to make them feel special, the Red Room, which was unique, sure, but imagine if we kept up with that, the villains that are specific to each hero, why isn't Loki a big boss battle that where maybe you go to Asgard and Loki has taken over? So you have to fight a bunch of evil Asgardian soldiers or minions of Loki before you eventually get to the boss battle of facing Loki. And he's able to disappear. He's able to put illusions of himself, or he's able to do magic stuff, which makes him hard to fight. Red Skull, finding out that Red Skull is somehow back and he has Hydra agents that you have to fight throughout the whole mission. And then the end battle is having to face Red Skull, and because of the super soldier serum, that makes him hard to face. Killmonger, and this is why I say Killmonger, because not only is he just a cool character, number one, but two, he's kind of an echo of Black Panther, right? You could just clone a design of Black Panther's suit, add in the gold color design to make it slightly different and to make it more of a Killmonger flavor, but still, this was doable. This was something that if they just took the time, if they just had the care, if they really wanted to make something special for the fans, there's no way that they expected this game to last 5 years, which just the same missions over and over again, the same armies, the same robots, the same like. How did they expect this to last? How did they not realize that you needed to do more, that you needed to put the work in, that you need to keep the fans happy? These last couple months of them posting, hey, we have new skins. We have this skin. We have that skin. We have that skin from this comic book. We have this skin from here. And fully aware that they're just going to shut this game down. Fully aware that they're just going to make everything in the marketplace for free come March. So, thus, bleeding money from all of us, people who were dumb like me, to buy more skins because you think maybe you're supporting them and maybe you're helping keep them afloat, only to find out that they've already made the decision to end it and they're bending you over, fucking you in the ass, and just making you their bitch. And so this sucks because even if you took half of my ideas, even if you took a third of my ideas, it would still be more. It would still show more effort. It would still show that you cared about this property. There's no way that you have access to all of these characters, all of these villains from the Marvel universe. And the fact that you weren't connected to the MCU actually gives you an advantage to do anything that you want. And you still chose to be this lazy. You still chose to be this short-minded. There's no excuse. This should have been the biggest game probably of all time, and it wasn't. Now it's going to go down, even though I had my fun with this game. Even though there are things about this game that I did enjoy, it's going to go down as not the worst, but one of the most disappointing and underwhelming games ever. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of some of my ideas of what they could have done, what they should have done to make this game better, some of the mistakes that they made that, well, made this game go wrong. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!